Okay, so notice here, the key point I wanted to make here is that continued participation is the number one factor all the way through. If we lose them, we're cooked. We don't get an opportunity. But obviously here they have an opportunity to develop a wide variety of movement skills. Doesn't even have to be specific baseball skills, it's just movement awareness. Give them a wide variety of skills. You can play, games that involve other, soccer balls, whatever it is, but just keep them having a good time, keep them coming back, and when they have their game-specific stuff, when they're doing their general athletic stuff, they're going to improve their athletic abilities, and when they do the little bits and pieces of baseball-specific stuff, they're going to improve their baseball skills. Increasing familiarity with the routines and stuff of baseball, so with throwing programs, with bullpen routines, with the tee drill, all that sort of stuff. Again, continued participation here in training to train, developing physical competencies, that's still important. Introduction to monitoring of performance. So we do our testing, and I know some of the regions do their own testing, and they're starting to include that stuff at that age, because again, it's giving them feedback of their results. If they know sort of where it is they stand and they have some sort of idea of what sort of benchmarks or whatever are good, then they can compare themselves to where they need to get to, and then start taking some action to get there. All right, so monitoring of performance starts to become important about here. Introduction to competition, so that's when Little League and under 14s and all that, and tournament play and finals and all that stuff starts to attract them a bit. As we go further down, as they get more experience, gradual exposure to a progressive challenge. So again, it's not necessarily just giving them more information, telling them more skills. It's about gradually progressing the level of stimulus that you're providing for them. So give them an increasing amount of challenge. So finding things that are a bit harder for them to do, finding a next level. One of the good things that Damien Shanahan from Melbourne, who's a high performance manager, he always talks about video game theory. Why are video games so addictive? And the way he always put it, and I really like this story, was that kids, they don't have somebody in video games sitting over their shoulder and telling them you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, no, you're supposed to do it this way, put your hand here, put your thumb here, do that. They just let kids go play, and they experiment and experiment until they get it. And they get it wrong, they get eliminated, game's over, they go back to the start and they try again. And they play and they play and they experiment and they bomb out and they go back and start again, and they keep going until they get it right. When they get it right, they get to the next level. Woohoo, made it to the next level. Try again. They bomb out, go back to the start. Try again, bomb out, go back to the start. Try something different. Eventually they get it and they learn. Right? But they still continue to get better, and they still want to sit there in front of the TV for hours and hours at a time, even though we don't have mum and dad standing over there and telling them this is the way you do it. All right? So as baseball coaches, you guys can understand that, again, we don't need to stand over them constantly and say, you need to do this, 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 and this. They'll work it out for themselves. Give them the outcome. All right, you've got to be able to hit the ball to this target. Just see how you go. Oh, boo. You've got to be able to hit the ball to this target. That could be our outcome. That's what we're trying to achieve, and we just let them go that. We let them practice and get to that. Once they can hit that target, all right, now you've got to hit this target, and that target. That's a bit harder, a bit more challenge. Or now you've got to hit it further away. Or now you've got to try and hit a target with a moving ball. Or now you've got to hit a target from an overhand throw. And now I'm going to throw you some curveballs and see how you go with that. Gradually progressing the level of stimulus. Have we got a copy of that? Can I just steal a copy of that? I'll just steal that rather than our thing, which I'll have to reboot again to get going. Should be on my computer, really, shouldn't it? So continued participation is in there all the time. In terms of the training activities, you can see again that they vary a little bit from level to level. You can see in the fundamental stage, games-based activities. Imaginative play, so not too much structure. So your coaching program has some structure, but your structure provides an unstructured environment for them to learn in. All right, so you give them lots of games and activities, you keep changing the game, you give them lots of different stimulus, let them learn a whole bunch of different things. Imaginative play, let them lead the session, let them go where it wants to go. Don't be too constrictive in terms of what you ask them to do. But you can see again how that changes. Once you get to slightly older, slightly more mature, a little bit more concentration span, all of that sort of stuff. Introducing practice routines, refining of individual skills and games-based activities. So rather than just modified games and all that sort of stuff, you can create actual specific baseball stuff that's a bit more consistent to what they're going to see actually in games and competition. Starting to develop resilience, so giving them some challenge, making things a bit harder for them, and having them overcome those challenges. All right, get to the next level of that video game. That's what's so challenging for them. There's another level. There's always another level. That's what we need to do. We need to continue to provide them, and you don't let them get to stage 3 unless they've graduated from stage 1 and stage 2. Right, so you don't just throw everybody out there in stage 3. It's an individual progression, and you need to let them progress from stage 1 to stage 2 and stage 2 to stage 3 at their own level. You can see again how it changes in training to compete, introduction to situational awareness, increasing exposure to competitive situations, and increased structure of a training program. By this age, they're starting to see the long-term pathways and how increasing their performance will help them get what they need to achieve, and they are more prepared to sacrifice some of that short-term immediate fun for long-term performance gains. So that's when, like conditioning and stuff, it hurts in the short term. You do conditioning with a 10-year-old, you lose them pretty quick because it hurts. It's hard, right? But you do it with a under 16 kid who knows that he needs to do this to get to the next level. This is the sacrifice that I have to make. A bit of short-term pain for long-term gain. They'll get that. They'll catch it, and they'll continue to do it, to continue to move forward. And then obviously it continues to progress down the bottom. Once we get, in terms of retention, remember retention specifically relates back to the priority of motivating factors. All right, so in the fundamental stage, what do you reckon the number one priority in terms of keeping that kid involved in the game? What is it?
Fun.
Yeah, you look back at his priority of motivating factors. If you can make it fun, you'll keep him. If you don't make it fun, he's gone. Simple. Opportunity to develop new skills, make new friends, maintain a healthy, non-threatening and safe environment. All of those things are really important. Training to train stage, fun, enjoyment, still important. Opportunity to develop skills is still important. Achieve success and recognition. Again, this is as they get a little bit more mature, as they identify that, making a rep team is pretty cool, or making a state team and getting a new hat and a shirt, it's pretty cool. Looking good in front of your mates, all of that sort of stuff. And then training to compete, again, the opportunity to develop more skills becomes the priority. The opportunities matches their effort. So again, this is when we talk about creating more opportunities for a greater diversity of athlete, more different types of athletes. So rather than just the elite kids and developing programs for these kids, we need to provide programs that are appropriate for all levels of players, opportunities that matches their effort. So again, in the past, only the kids that made state teams necessarily got opportunities to do these additional training programs, got opportunities to go away and play cool tournaments on the road and stuff. We need to make sure that all kids have that opportunity. We can still have selected state team programs and that sort of stuff at the higher levels, but at the lower level, we just need to make sure that we create plenty of opportunity for them to develop. All kids, whether they're in the top 10 or 15% of our kids or not, we need to provide them with opportunities. And then, again, you can see their continued participation as you progress down that retention line. Again, the things that will keep them involved in the sport relate very much to their priority of motivating factors. Does anyone have any questions about that? This will be a good resource for you guys to refer to at various stages. It will help you understand. No matter what program you guys are coaching in, this will really help you. Batesy.
Developing as a kid, something that I aspired to was going and watching A-grade games.
Yep.
Trev and Badge playing Trinities, all that kind of stuff. But I remember going to see a few Bandits games as a kid. I know that today a lot more kids are getting to see Bandits stuff.
Yep.
I mean, being able to relate to someone that you can go watch every week. I'm not saying getting to watch every week, but even with your mates on your team as a junior, you go, an A-grade game this week, you can go watch the A-grade game. And if coaches are kind of facilitating that as well, saying, who's going on the A-grade game this week, or we go together, and then, I mean, most of the time they sit there for the meeting and they go play catch themselves.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's that modelling kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
Like me, I mean, I never even thought I'd be an A-grader when I was a kid.
Yep.
I thought A-grader would be way too tough for me, and then you get up there and you pick it home.
And that's where you guys as coaches can just plant some little seeds.
Yeah.
And even if it's, it's not mandatory, but you just try to, is anyone going to the A-grade game? I'll be there this week. I'm just going to have a bit of a look. Or are you guys going to the Bandits game or whatever? Just make sure they've got information about that sort of stuff. They know it's available. They know that they could get there. And that's exactly it. It's just planting little seeds for opportunities for development. So again, this is This is what we're talking about in terms of excellence of coaching. That right there is not necessarily just going out and teaching him how to hit a curveball or how to swing the bat or something like that, something that most people, line up with coaching. This is a perfect opportunity to create a learning experience, to have them go down to, A-grade games and see how the better guys in your club play the game at a higher level.
It's creating a culture too. It's not creating a culture if they're watching TV on Friday night.
Yeah.
You know what's and this is a little bit off track. So you've got all of us in here as sort of junior coaches. Have you thought of, or do you think there would be a way you could present something like this with Warren as well to every single club, senior club, during the season? Like we're trying to improve the coaching excellence, trying to improve the standard of our players. And we're talking also a lot of elite kids here too, who are coming up through the senior ranks, playing A grade and stuff. Those coaches, those A grade coaches, B grade coaches, they need to know about this stuff. In senior baseball, I know because when I was playing senior baseball, I didn't have a clue about junior baseball. I just thought, they're just some nuffies running around, and you guys are doing a great job with kids there. I didn't have a clue, not a single clue. And I reckon those blokes wouldn't either. It would be really good to have something like this and go down to a senior training at Redlands.
Yep.
And they just give up one of their nights and they've got all the A grade, B grade, C grade guys, all the coaches that can do the same thing with them, and then do it with Winders. And then do it, because, the Lammies, the Chris Norries, the Mitchell
Phil Overlay.
Those guys need to be here to hear that this is going on in the background. So when they see that Jack Barry come up through the ranks, oh shit, yeah, we know where he's come from. We know the foundation that he's come from. We're getting on board here, we're going to help this kid. I think that's really important.
I think it is too, no doubt. The process obviously takes a bit of time and it takes some good communication. Just so you know, the information about this went out to every registered coach in our database. So it wasn't specifically juniors or seniors or any of that sort of stuff. The information was on the BQ website and open to all coaches. So I agree. But again, whether there's resistance from that group, whether they don't think they need to learn any of this stuff or they just weren't available, but what it takes is us to have a consistent and concerted effort to keep putting information out there. So again, hopefully this session will go up online and will give everybody an opportunity to go through some of this information at some stage, and we'll cut it up into little pieces so it's not me waffling for 2 hours that they have to take it all in at once. You guys can go back and review it hopefully as well. But it's about providing them an opportunity to get this information on their own time. So I totally agree, mate. Couldn't agree with you more. And they're just as important a link in that long-term development of an athlete, as the guys at the under-12 levels are, as the guys at the under-14s and 16s. We're all just as important as each other. We all fit in to this long-term athlete development pathway, and if we all contribute, our athletes will be best served when they, get to the top level of the game. They'll be best served by the contribution of all of us rather than just one or two, good coaches.
We talk about it at our club, getting coaches for the juniors, and we talk about getting A graders involved. And when I was playing, the last thing in the world I wanted to do was go and coach a kids team. It was the last thing. It was all about me. It was all about me getting my cuts in and doing all my work. But it wasn't ever sold to me either.
Yep.
I think it could be sold to these people.
Yeah, I think so too.
If A grade, those senior players sit in on this stuff, I really think that would motivate them. And I think it would. They'd be more inclined to go, we might bloody, have a look down and go down and see if we can pull some kids up with us.
Yeah, well, it's the same process. I'm getting the guys that are in the Bandits group at the moment. I'm trying to get them to go back and make sure that they do some coaching. I always encourage our QBA scholarship group kids that they should be getting out there and trying to coach Little League and stuff like that, because it helps them get their head around concepts from a different perspective than what they've been as a player. As you say, as an athlete, everything is so selfish. I've just got to get my work in. I've got to do this and this to get better, to progress, blah, blah, blah. You become very self-obsessed as an athlete.
It's very normal too.
Yeah, it is. It's perfectly normal, yeah. And they need to do that. They need to have that self-direction to get what they need to get to the next level. So there needs to be an element of that. But for the long-term success of our baseball environment and for the sake of all of us working together to try and contribute to the health of our state system, it most definitely would help to have those kids come back put in more time. Have the A grade guys come back and put in more, even if it's just one night a week, or even if it's just little bits and pieces here and
I
there.
think it could be sold to them.
Most definitely. And this is our challenge.